Okay, here everybody. I don't know if you can hear me or not, so if I get home and this isn't a good recording, I'll just redo it. But so more driving home from the Dr. Randoms, right? So I was just thinking, like, so a couple of conversations that I've had, couple panels, whatever, there's been a recurring theme. But before I get to that, like, there's this recurring theme of the division between black people, and I'm at least glad that we can now have this conversation, right? That's wonderful. I love that aspect, and I'm glad that nobody came to blows. I mean, it was some hurt feelings, some anger, some insults, but for the most part, on the panels that I was on, the insults were kind of mild. And y'all know our people, we can get disrespectful. So I'm just glad we didn't have to come to that. Yeah, I'm just putting on lipstick. Makes me feel pretty after the doctor, right? Okay, so before we get to all of that, because I want to talk about, like, why I think Jesus got mad, because I was raised a Christian. I don't go to church or subscribe to organized religion anymore, but I do still remember the tenets, and a lot of them I agree with, and I feel like they are there for our betterment. I want to talk about the split between men and women, and also the age gap split. And I wanted to talk about people using, like, therapy and counseling as an insult. And finally, I wanted to talk about leveling up. So, the first one. I remember as a kid, I was one of those kids that, because I didn't have a family that had access to daycare and all of that, sometimes family members get mad at you and they don't want to babysit anymore. So guess what? You get dropped off? Church. That's exactly what it was used for, because I'm trying to figure out, if it's such a healing and saving place, why drop me off there? Why aren't you there? And also, why aren't you there also wanting to help other kids come to the Lord? Why is it just you dropping me off because, black kids are hellions? I heard that my entire childhood. Like, you got to watch these kids. You never give them no leeway. I don't play with my kids. I raise them. But all that ever means is fighting. All that ever means is yelling at kids and if they have questions. So I don't know. I think I talked about it on a different video. Is the thing that angered me as a kid is that I had questions, and I tried to ask my pastor these questions because after asking so many adults, they didn't have the answers. They want to yell at me, tell me I'm, disrespectful, want to accuse me of blasphemy and sacrilege and all of this. And I'm just like, I want to understand more about this book you got me reading. At least at school, I get to ask questions if I don't understand the book. But I understood that one. I don't understand this one. So help. As a kid that everybody felt like had the answers all of the time, they reveled in the idea that there was something I didn't know. And that angered me. So I for a long time still was required to go to church, but I hated every second of it because I'm just in there looking at all of these people who are hypocrites. I see that y'all aren't doing the same things that y'all are telling me is my eternal damnation. Well, okay, so you don't care about going to hell? Maybe it ain't that bad of a place. I mean, I don't know. It just didn't add up. So anyway, one question that I did have, like, every now and then I remember some of the questions that were on that paper, because not only did he not answer, he never gave me the paper back. So I couldn't go ask anybody else, and then I got yelled at like I just was, bothering them. So whatever. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. Just a rant that I have with Christianity. The way I look at Christianity is, it's people who decided that at the time, everybody who was Jewish, Jesus Christ was born, and he was born under some questionable circumstances, but he still grew up and wanted to make something better for society. And so one thing that I always was curious about is why did he want to go against the grain? If everything was so amazing in that time period, and these were people that were writing letters to one another, hiding from the backlash because it was saying something different than what was going on at that actual time. They were cataloging what they saw and what they think the answer should be going forward. And that's what we've come to know as the Bible of any topic, is what is the basic instruction that all things will derive from. And I feel like over a long enough period of time, they were able to develop something and do research. And what if the Bible is a psychology book? Okay. So anyway, what made him want to go against the grain? Why was Judaism not good enough? Well, because people was acting up. They was killing people, raping people, burning people at the stake. They was acting a fool out here on this planet. Wars, people just want to take something because, I mean, like, how you gonna prove I took it? You know, no cameras, no technology, whatever, right? So he got tired of it, and so he ended up flipping over tables and went to jail and you know, got the death penalty because he questioned when you weren't supposed to, apparently. But what made him so angry, I think, is basically, when I was a kid and I read these stories, I always was like, well, yeah, I see why he was flipping over tables, you know, and I looked at it like, and I still remember my thought process back then because it guided how I acted at school and in other, you know, areas. I was a praying child, a kid that wanted to come to the Lord, you know. That's always been what I wanted. That sounded amazing the way they described it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to need that. That's a superhero. I mean, I bet he can stop you from yelling at me. So, I looked at it like he had a project, like the overseers, the elders of that time gave him a project. Yeah, he was 33, I know, but I was a kid, all right? So I looked at it like they had an assignment, or either he's something he wanted to try in the planet because everybody was miserable. And he trying to get people together. He want this group to act right and this group to act right. And all anybody can do is come behind his back and fight and then tell him it ain't going to work. And that's a pervasive thing throughout these stories too. Like Noah, Moses, everybody was like, that ain't going to work. But then when it started working out, oh, okay, no apology. We still do that. No acknowledgement, no talking about why they didn't believe him. And then the person who saw this vision couldn't explain reasonably or couldn't convince people why they knew it was going to happen. But do anybody ever think about what would have happened if it didn't rain with Noah in the ark? What would have happened if Pharaoh was like, nah, y'all ain't going nowhere. I'll slaughter everybody in here. I'm not going to live my life without no slaves. Y'all, if you leave, we all die. What if he just was hardened completely, right? What if he said, and you killed my son? I wish I would let y'all go now. You know, like, what if that was the answer? We only are looking back at this because they got the answer right. What if they got the answer wrong? But anyway, I digress. Yeah, I'm known for doing that tangential thought processes. But anyway, why is it always, why can't we just say, okay, you know what? Let's just try it and see. Since they can't convince us, let's just give it a shot. You know, and we give up on things quickly. So I feel like he had a project and they didn't want to do it. If you were in school and you ever had to work with a group, I hated group projects. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to do everything but. And then they are the one that was like, see, he was messing up. We all was trying, and they blamed him and he got in trouble. So sometimes when I talk to people, I do kind of feel like Jesus. I do. And I mean, I don't know about the coming to save the world part, but I do think that, I mean, we could use a little bit of, you know, elevated morale at times. The morale in the black community is so low. Everybody hates everybody, but it's better because nobody's shooting anybody anymore, and that might be because of technology. And, you know, I honestly don't care what the reason is. I like the fact that it's happening, that, you know, it's not as bad no matter what people older than us want to say. So anyway, I get why he was mad, and I feel that way sometimes. How did my adult understanding of that change? Well, as a kid, I was looking like, he trying, it's not fair. Why is he giving, how come nobody believed him? And why would y'all think that these people are, like, what do they have to show for the time? Like, did anybody make them prove this? Did anybody make him prove it? I mean, did anybody make the other people prove that he was the one that needed to die? He died because he got outvoted, because he didn't have the numbers. Sound familiar? Yeah, we need the numbers. We don't have the numbers. So, as an adult, as a kid, I felt like, okay, well, he's trying, and life's not fair. How many of y'all have heard that story all the time? Life ain't fair. We got to teach these kids to be ready for the world that is inherited, instead of changing the world. And basically what I think is that we should pick a set of morals and then create a place where the kids can follow that and the morals make sense, and therefore we are defining ourselves. But no, we are a day late, dollar short culture, and that's what we're doing. We adapting to something that was built for somebody else by somebody else. Why do we think we will ever be successful in that? So now we have to do all of this crazy stuff to kids so that they can be ready for a world that we claim to hate. Are you supposed to want to wake up every morning? Because I get sick of hearing it's a blessing that you wake up every morning. Are we supposed to? Are we supposed to be excited about this? Because, I mean, I thought that we was all supposed to be happy about after death. That's when our benefits come. So what y'all mad at? Why do you think that a woman shouldn't railroad you in child support or divorce court? Because, you know, you ain't supposed to be happy here no way. You're supposed to be uncomfortable. So you kill yourself and get to the Lord faster. Right? Anything other than that is, what you call it? Blasphemy? Right? No, that's not true? Oh, okay. Well, then I kind of want to smile some days when I wake up, too. I don't want to just wake up. See, that's mediocrity. Just waking up is enough? No, I want to wake up and I want to smile when I wake up. Not every day, because everything ain't perfect, but a lot of the days. And so I do things so that I can have that. And when I tell other people, well, that's how I get by in the world. What do y'all do? Whine and complain. Well, no, somebody's supposed to hand it to me. Why can't they make me smile? Well, they don't know what you think is happy. Did you tell them? See, a lot of these arguments that we have could be avoided if people just use common sense. Is anybody on this planet psychic? No. So, how they supposed to know? And a lot of these arguments have the same underlying tone to them. How can you argue with one person on the same subject, one position, and then you're on the opposite position in another instance? So y'all, I think that even if you do know what the morals are that we all were supposed to learn, I don't think you know how to apply them. So what good are you? You still aren't helpful to the community. So I just really feel like lifting black morale is paramount, and you don't do that by shaming and driving somebody into the ground. If you treat a person like nothing, they have nothing to lose. So no, in my opinion, shaming does not work. And I've said this on other panels, and neither does ultimatums, neither does threats of physical violence. Because what if you meet that one person that say, I'd rather die than be whatever it is you're trying to make me? I've been in that predicament before. You know what it's like for somebody to tell you they'd rather die than be anywhere near you? You are a miserable person if somebody has to say that. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. It could be just me by myself. So growing up, I feel like he knew. There was something, like, not only...
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
Not like, as a kid, I felt like, well, he's trying and they're not doing it. But as an adult, I felt like, well, he knew what would have been a better answer. Now, does he really? I don't know. Christianity, I did some research. Apparently, Christianity is like still the #1 religion. You want to know what a life is like where you get fame after you die? The whole world now is listening to this, but look what happened to him. So now, for those of you who aren't Christians, I mean, I don't know whether your prophet or your guiding identity had to be, tortured and go through all of that or whatnot. But you know what that does to tell a kid? What do you think that does to kids? If you tell them, like, look, this person was trying to do the good thing and everybody was against him, but hey, we love him now 2,000 years later. But at the time, yeah, they, don't worry about it 2,000 years, like in the year 4019. They gonna see you was right. Get the hell out. As an adult, I possibly might 5% buy that. But as a kid, I was like, listen, all right, well then these your kids, you take care of them. You tell them the right thing to do. I'm out. And stop leaving me with these niggas because these ain't my kids. So, yeah, it just wasn't worth it to babysit siblings. It was not. It wasn't worth it. I didn't have any children. I hadn't went off and gotten pregnant and didn't know how I was going to raise my kids. I still had a childhood that I didn't get to utilize because of you. But okay, I digress. I brought up that to say is because everybody sound real Jesus-y right now. Everybody feel like they falling on their sword. Everybody feels like they're, not being heard, because if you just listen. But guess what? You know why you're not being heard? Because we don't know which one of y'all is going to reveal the mask and not actually be a lamb, not actually be so innocent. We're all afraid of somebody being drunk in power, and y'all can't see why our culture feels that way. When have we ever been able to trust anyone? But we have a culture that likes popularity contests. Who will everybody listen to? You have to listen to me and me alone. Why? If it's the truth, shouldn't people agree with it? Oh, well, everybody is mostly stupid except for me, my one person self. How we know that you the one that's going to get the answer right, though? I imagine that during like with Moses and Noah and all of them, I imagine some other people saying, listen, it ain't going to rain. Or either it is going to rain, but it's going to be raining frogs. I mean, they were also right. They just were right afterwards. What if somebody said, hey, man, it's not going to rain. It's just going to be hot and all our crops going to die? We've seen that before. That's a more viable option. Like, we don't know what all else happened back then. So what's the point? For right now, what I think we should focus on is why we're split like this, in my one person opinion. Because that's all I have, is just me. Right? So, my understanding of all of those stories and those morals, because that's exactly what it is. It was something that was taught to me that we all agreed to live by. Point blank, period. I don't know who has the right path. How can you think that there can only be one path? It might be several. You just gotta have, but you know what all those paths have in common? Something greater than yourself. And I think that's just good advice. You can't live in this world alone. I know if I was the last person alive, I mean, I'm not going to last very long because, I don't know all the other jobs. And you can't do them all. Nobody can. That's the point. I think that we are all supposed to be figuring out how to coexist on here. And then maybe we won't have to worry so much about what it would look like. But there's always that one person, right, that want to sabotage everything, right? And sometimes we get the answer wrong. Sometimes we get the answer wrong if this person is going to be a messiah or a saboteur. We don't get the answer right all of the time. That's why we get so worried about these exposures of our leaders or whatnot. See, that wouldn't happen if we kept their influence to the one subject and kept making them review with us why we are trusting them. Not too often to get annoying and get in the way of the mission, but often enough so that every generation gets to understand and come to their own willingness to follow. So, how does this relate to the split? Because we haven't decided who we believe yet. First, the split between men and women, right? So with this whole leveling up thing, women are supposed to level up because we ain't supposed to come with nothing. We not. All we do is show up and recreate versions of you. I'm willing to believe that some of you dudes don't like yourselves. So you do, in fact, create a version of you, the woman. You beat her into not liking you and not liking herself because you are who she attracted. Yeah, because we attract, right? So I feel like anything above that you want me to do is extra. Do I have to cook and clean? Yes, that's part of recreating you because I have to keep little you healthy and alive. Do I need to understand your mission and talk to you and learn what makes you tick and what makes you happy and use it appropriately? Yes. Because that's part of keeping the original. All the other stuff that y'all be talking about, not necessary. I don't have to. But that will make for a very boring life. So I agree that we should. You know what the split is with men and women? Is because both sides blame us. Women. The reasons are different. If you are a woman who blames side chicks, why? Are you saying that your man is stupid? Well, then why are you with a man that's stupid? Why are you recreating that? I'm not happily friends with side chicks. Let's just put that out there. I don't agree with what they're doing, but I understand what would make somebody do it. Now, I couldn't do it. I'm not capable of that, but, to each their own. I mean, I just couldn't imagine waiting around at second place of anything. So, that could be ego. It possibly can, but, also it has a greater good. It's helping families stay together because, women don't like it when you cheat. They tolerate it. They put up with it. But no woman is excited to say, man, I hope that nigga go out and pound a bunch of chicks today. Nobody is saying that. Just let's get real. And we're told that we're stupid if we can't make you only commit to us. And you know why? Less resources. You want to be treated like a bag? Okay, fine. Because if we say spending less time with you, that's not enough, right? So when we tell y'all the answer, y'all got all this pushback. The things women say actually show that they care. Believe it or not, all of the things that y'all hate about women, they do because they think it's going to attract you. And then when they find out it doesn't, I agree with you at that point that they should then stop. That maybe the answer to that should be, well, that was not, I must have read something wrong. That was not a good assessment of what would get a man. So, let's scrap that idea and try something else and then let it go. But men hold on to things too. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. I'll use myself as an example. So because of where I grew up, right, there are certain people that feel like I just have to have a thug dude. That's not what my actual type is. I relate to them because we grew up in the same place and I understand what they're talking about. I understand what they went through. I understand what it is that they're asking or need at that moment. And I don't feel like it's a bad thing if I do something nice for them so that they don't feel so alone in the world. Right? I personally feel like as black people, I want to create this vision where we do say nice things to each other, where we're excited to see each other, across from somewhere, where we're happy, where we feel like home. I want to create that. However, and I would like for other people to want that too. So my contribution to that is I say things that I hope would speak life into men, that would uplift them. But there are times where I do have to go off and yell or be insulting. And the reason usually is because they're hurting someone else. I don't view myself as racist. I do think that we need our own help right now. If we were the dominant society and we didn't have any needs right now, then I could think about other people, but right now I can't. I don't mind doing small favors when I can spare it, and I don't think that should be taken out of context by either whatever chick is in your life that didn't feel like you was worthy enough or couldn't do it. And that this is not about like anything romantic or sexual. I'm talking about like when you go outside of your house. Okay? So I don't feel like if she was indisposed that she should have a problem with that. And I don't feel like any man that I'm with should have a problem with that, because what if one day I'm not there? I would like for us to be able to be a family as a race, but I get it. That's naive, but that's just something to strive towards. As if we can get as close to that as possible, then fine. That is what I think would give us all peace. Because we're not going to get peace even if white people apologize. Reparations is not for our peace. That is for, our security, our sanity, to say that yes, slavery did happen. Stop trying to erase it. I feel like that is for other things. Our peace is going to come from us. We the only ones that can do it. So this split is because of all the accusations, all of the tears and the hurt feelings and the vindictive actions. in my life, I'm guessing that I was told that I could only possibly ever be cool, cool with having a thug dude in my life. The reason why I wouldn't want that for my life is because I'm not going to be able to watch them go out and do all of this reckless stuff, and then I'm just supposed to sit there and say that they're being a man by putting themselves in danger because I need or want something. I would never ask for anything because I wouldn't want them to die trying to get something. And then that makes me now have to hold back a piece of me. And it's a lot. It's hard. I am not a person that does well with holding back a lot of stuff. So why even do it? There are women out there who are capable, and I feel like that's a good match for them. I'm not. So I had a little square dude, and I felt like we were on the same path. But he just could not wrap his brain around the fact that I might possibly actually like him instead of what he saw around me. He completely missed the fact that I was single, that I wasn't dating them. And they didn't even look at me like that. Like, they looked at me like, sister, homegirl, cool friend in the neighborhood. Like, and they, like, the dudes, for whatever reason, the ones that came around was always older than me. So they didn't, like, that's not what I was doing. So, that's not how they talked to me. That's not how they showed love to me. And my dad and uncles, they kicked up a little dust in their youth. So that I look at as somebody older than me. I never look at that as my boyfriend. So I couldn't possibly get him to understand that that's not what I wanted. He needed to go through this stupid thing where he wanted to dye his hair blonde. He wanted to try to grow dreads. He wanted to get tattoos while he's scared of needles. And who asked him for that? I literally was telling him that I wanted the opposite, but he changed into what he needed to be comfortable because he needed to shush me and he needed to tell me who it is that I wanted. So I'm glad that I was capable and I grew up in a time period where I could get my own money and have my own job and my own education, because what I imagine from back in the day is when women couldn't do that, they had to sit through that, marry him anyway. And I know that if I had to do that, you don't get the person that it is that you were attracted to. You don't get who you said yes to. We now, as a culture, do we not know that that's one of the reasons why relationships break up? Why we have all these broken families? Because people change and... Nice. Okay, so, never mind. Long story. It was a nice car. Anyway, can we agree that that's just one of the givens? Is like to change, but together, not just because you gonna tell somebody what they want. And I find it interesting how he just knew me so well, way more than I knew myself. Though he was just gonna teach me about who I am. Right? All right. So with my attitude, I would have done, if I had to do that, I would have made sure to definitely cheat on him with a guy that was square like I asked for. Now, I didn't have to, because I didn't have to sit there and try to awaken him. But if you can't get a job and you can't do all of that, it's more than just not wanting to be under a guy's thumb. It's like, while he's doing all of this craziness, who gonna be paying these bills? Now we're gonna be homeless, but you got blonde dreads now. Yeah, that helps. Just stupid stuff. Now, is that every man? No, I hope not. But a lot of women do have these same themes in their stories. So, that would have been my last effort, because I literally tried everything. And instead of me cheating on him, I just broke up with him, or at least I tried. He was like, nah, this ain't a good enough reason. How? You gonna just... Anyway. I don't know what else I would have been able to come up with to get it through his head. Like, just stop all of that, because A, you're not good at it, and that's not who you are. And B, that's not what I want. If I wanted that, I would have got that. So anyway, the divide between men, you have two groups of men who disagreed, because you get the one that was sitting there watching and know that I was telling the truth.
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
And he was a square like I liked, and so I started spending more time with him. And then you have the one that used to be a square and who's now trying their best to be hood, and it's not even working, and nobody's taking him seriously, and it's just so much wrong with that. And so then you get the scene out of Hitch where he banging on the window and the chick in there with another dude. Now, was I? No, I wasn't. But you get the mental picture. You're doing it right now because you're not listening. And see, those men don't listen to you because they saw with their own eyes. How you going to tell them something that they saw with their own eyes? How you going to check this man and tell him that his eyes are lying? You think he was watching you or he was watching the woman, waiting on you to mess up? So that's why y'all are divided right now. And the same thing goes for women. I'm sure that there are women who change themselves because they get it in their head, like, you know, that the man wanted a certain thing and then she go and become the thing that he did not want and all of that. I get it. But, you know, that's not my story that I can use. So with all of that, I'm saying that to say is the divide isn't specifically, you know, our fault. It's because of us, yes, but it's not our fault. Just like I don't blame men for the divide in women. I got my own issues with other chicks. Certain chicks I do not hang out with. And there's nothing that they could say that would make me ever want to be their friend. Case in point, so after my friend was murdered, there's this face tatted up chick with gold teeth that decided to say, so what, because somebody died? Why are you crying? Okay, let me put it in terms that she would have been able to understand. You dime bag a week moving chick, you. First of all, I cared about my friend who was a exponentially better woman than you will ever hope to be. And two, we are supposed to be upset when one of us die. Meanwhile, you cyber slurping on a dude page that got shot, you know, in the hood, and you contributed to why he got shot, in my opinion. So don't worry about why my tears are coming out. You worry about whether or not they're going to raid the projects you still live in. I moved out. Now, we both have divides. And you know why she was coming at me? Because she was friends with some goofy ass, tacky ass broad that was mad because her nigga was looking too long. So no, I would not be friends with a chick like that, because any of my homegirls, if you mad with some chick that your dude is in the face of, I'm gonna ask you why you still worried about it. We not gonna go over there talking to that chick. So certain stuff I don't participate in. That's why we have the divide in our gender. It's because the two groups of women feel like they only have two choices: either blame all men together as a collective, or either fight with one another and compete over the men. That secret third option that nobody seems to ever think of, just like men. Y'all have the same fight. It's just now we're at a time period where everybody's blaming the other gender, and that's not even true. I can't wait until y'all come to the conclusion and wake up and realize that that's not true. The secret third option that everybody's overlooking is, how about don't do grimy things in order to procure another individual, a human being, a person. These are not robots. These are not material items that you can own and possess. Treat people like human beings and actually get to know them and earn the trust and keep the trust. Don't be grimy. Things should be grimy. Pipes that, you know, are moving sludge. Lakes with oil spills in them. Those things can be grimy. How about people are not? Can we
Watch
do that?
out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
Oh, nobody can drive today. Jeez. Meanwhile, I'm over here being a perfect, you know, car operating citizen. Feels good to be amazing. Anyway, now the age divide, well, that's because they still don't see us as adults. They don't. And why? Because they spent their youth being spoiled and catered to What were they ever asked to do but go to school? But tell me what y'all big thing was, because every other generation before you people, boomers, had a thing that they all had to do. What did y'all have to do? You were in school during the civil rights movement. Your parents were fighting that. They let you ride at the front of the bus. Y'all did not do that for us. Name something y'all did. You are, okay, like, because, okay, generations before you had drugs. They had juke joints. They had all of that same stuff, and somehow they was able to still stay together. And why couldn't you? And then you won't let us stay together. One of y'all always got something to say. And we can't just move over to the next town and try our hand at life or anything and get away from y'all because, you know, somebody taught y'all ass how to text. I'm going to just put this out here. So, my mother, when I asked her, she wanted to be needed. She wanted to be relevant so bad because I guess she feels like that would make up for how she treated my children's fathers. So she wants to say that she's going to be the one to help with the babysitting and all of that.